Hey, Coach. Do you notice schematic evolutions from week to week in the defenses you kind of scheme against based upon what you guys like to do?
Yeah, excuse me. Every defensive coach and defensive coordinator has different philosophies, different things they like to do, and and that's a unique challenge each week in itself. It's probably similar for the defensive guys too. Offense coordinators, offensive play callers have their own identity, and we definitely think about that each week. We want to do what we do well, yes, but also that fits against what the defense is doing. So it's a fine line that you don't get too far out of who you are. But we definitely have to account for what the defense is doing and how we want to attack them.
Kevin Bowen.
Hey, Nick, you guys rank 32nd right now in rushing yards per carry, and I know some kneel downs can obviously sway that a little bit, but how indicative of that number do you think has been the run blocking?
Yeah, good question, Kevin. We're doing the things we need to do to win the football game. So that is, you mentioned the kneel downs and stuff like that. It's also 4 minute runs at times, where those aren't going to, you're going against a very heavy box. The box is stacked against you. You have one less guy that you can block, or pardon me, they have one more guy than you can block. So, and we've been in 4-minute mode the last 3 weeks. So I think that definitely plays into it as well. And speaking of 4 minute, I just thought that was a phenomenal 4-minute drive that we had the other day. We had the ball for almost 8 minutes at the end of the game. And those, yes, we'd love for one of them to break out, and we were close a couple times. But to keep ahead of the sticks, to keep the chains moving, I think we're in a good position. I'm not concerned about it. I know some of these runs will start to break out of there and get some explosive runs, more so than what we've been getting.
So overall, you are pleased with the run blocking?
Yeah, I am.
Mike Chappell.
And Nick, lots being we've seen Phillip the way he barks at the other team and the thing with Roquan Smith. Frank said it. That's him being him, and Phil knows what the line is and not to go over it. Your time with him, have you seen him go to the line and maybe go over it or not? Or does he really show pretty good tolerance?
I think Phillip's an extremely smart player, and he knows he does. He like I heard what Frank said too. He's gotten to the line, gotten close to the line, but I think he knows when, hey, I'm almost over the line, and he knows how to pull it back. He's extremely smart, not only as a football player, but just as a social awareness as well. So, I think I've definitely seen it. That wasn't my first rodeo with him right there, watching him and Roquan kind of go at it a little bit. Roquan's a heck of a football player. He made a lot of plays in that game. I got a lot of respect for him, and I know Phillip does as well. But yeah, that's just who Phillip is. That's his unique personality. And I don't believe he crossed the line, and I haven't seen him cross the line, even though at some points we might think he's close.
Well, quick follow-up. Is it when again, you've seen different levels of trash talking, whatever you want to call it. Is his more – it's like conversational. It doesn't seem to be like angry or whatever. Is there different types?
I think so. I think that, his is a little, his is a little more clean than maybe Zach Pascal's is at time, or Jordan Wilkins is at time. I can see that. I see it's just him being him. And that's how he plays. That's how he functions, and I think he gets the best out of himself when he does that. And he knows what makes him tick, and he knows how to play his game. And that's just part of his game.
We probably need a quick Zach Pascal story now. What's up with that?
No, Zach talks a little bit too, and Zach he has some things to say to the defense as well, and that's just a part of that's just part of football and part of the football game, and how it goes. They're not, trust me, the defense is not. They're not silent in this whole thing. They're not innocent in this whole thing. We're not the ones bringing it. We're not always starting this thing here at Chappie.
George Bremer.
Philip has kind of alluded a couple times, I know he did on Sunday, to being maybe one step away, one play away at times. A little mistake here, a little mistake there, and a big play could happen. I know there's no excuses in the NFL, but how much a part of that is the fact that you haven't had the same skill position group in consecutive weeks yet?
Yeah. Hey, George. I don't think that it's just a little bit of a lack of execution here or there, a little bit that we can be better coaching, put them in better spots here and there, or coach up a finer detail here and there. And then some of it is, the defense making plays here and there. I mean and so, obviously I don't think it's the continuity of the skill position. I think, because I definitely think we're not the only team involved in this, where guys get injured. That's part of football. Do we miss the guys that we've lost? 100%, absolutely. They're phenomenal football players, and you always miss phenomenal football players. But that's just part of football. And so we just got to do better coaching. We got to do better executing, and we got to take away their good players.
Mike Wells.
Hey, Nick, first of all, I still find it great that Rivers can talk trash without cussing. He can run his mouth nonstop without dropping any F-bombs in there. But, hey, my actual question is, what is it like going against Forrest Buckner in practice as an offensive coordinator when you're sitting there trying to get the offense ready for their next opponent?
Yeah, that's a good question. More so than not, he's not on our scout team giving us reps. So I can only speak to when he was when we were playing against him in training camp. And I just really value a player on the defensive side of the football that's good, because it makes your players better. When you practice hard the way we practice and you compete the way our guys compete, a good player like DeForest, yes, obviously it's going to cause you some nightmares, but it's going to also make you better. It's going to prepare you as a coach for when you're going against a dominating inside tackle, right? It's going to prepare you as a player when you're going against one of those dominating guys. And there's not a lot of guys in the NFL like him. So we're seeing the elite of the elite in DeForest in practice, particularly in training camp, that just elevates our level of play. He's just got that where some people elevate the level, Philip can elevate the level of play of his players by him playing well. And DeForest elevates the level of our players by, posing the problem during practice. So big time as the offensive coordinator, value that for our offense. And sure as heck happy he's on our team on Sunday and we're not blocking him on Sunday, because he's a heck of a football player.
Jim Ayala.
Nick, this is a weird question about trash talking, and I don't mean to imply if you don't curse, I curse. I was asking, when you're around Philip, do you censor yourself at all around him just because he doesn't?
No, I censor myself because my dad would not have it any other way, and he still gets on me about that. So no, yeah, so yeah, I try. I'm not a big cursor myself either. So. Yeah. And my dad listens to this interview, so I wouldn't admit it if I did.
That's fair. I got an actual offense question. Marlon Mack, I'm just curious. Do you when you lose a guy like Marlon, obviously him and Jonathan are different kinds of runners. Do you have to change the plays that you call? And I know I talked to Frank a little bit yesterday about this. It was, the offensive line and Marlon had developed some chemistry. Is that still kind of coming for a guy like Jonathan in the O-line?
Yeah, I think again, chemistry is constantly developing. So, especially in zone schemes, right? You run a zone scheme, you get a feel for when when your linemen come off blocks onto their defenders. Everyone's got a slightly different, Coach Strauss does a great job coaching it, but everyone has their own unique way of doing it. So I think that's just constantly developing, and you're constantly getting better. And as far as, the plays that we run, yes, we like to major in some plays, but we're also going to do things based off of what we feel like our guys can accomplish, both on the offensive line and at running back. So, it may not just be a simple plug and, pull and plug, like, okay, Marlon does this really well, so now Jonathan, you got to do this really well. Well, no, we have three backs that are able to three backs that we really trust that are able to take that production, and so maybe it's Jonathan, a little bit of sprinkle of Jonathan here, a little bit of Jordan here, a little bit of Naheem here. So, it's still do what our offensive line does well and let the backs do what they do well.
Olivia Ray.
Nick, I'm sorry, we're like a dog with a bone here with this, but you've been around Phil for a while, so can you give me your best Phil impression? Because he says some really unique things out there because he does not curse.
Oh, I am not good. Sorry, Olivia. I am not good at that. I'm not a.
Okay, then what's the most unique thing that you've heard him? What's your favorite phrase?
Okay. Thank you. That's an easier question for me to answer. What does he say? Dog on it? Dog. Someone's got to help me. I hear it all the time, but he's got
Dadgummit.
Yeah, there you go. He's got a pretty thick Southern slang, and I'm from the Northeast, so I don't. Yeah, there it is, right there. There it is.
Kim Bone.
Nick, like from a play calling standpoint, how much do you and Frank look at tendencies and like your play calling influences that? I guess what I'm saying, like, when personnel's on the field, if you're doing it 70% of the time, it might be tipping your hand. Like, how much does that impact you guys, especially early in the season?
Yeah, you know what, Kevin, that's constantly on our minds. That is something that's constantly on our minds. We know how we look at defenses, and we know how our defenses look at other teams. And so we don't want to tip our hand anyway. I mean, in any sport, you're right. You don't want to let the person trying to defend you any little tell. Like, we're really obsessed with that. And I really learned a lot of that from Frank. When we were together in San Diego, just being obsessive about, hey, we don't have any tells here, right? The tackle's not giving anything away. The back's not giving anything away. Our tendencies aren't giving anything away. Like, it amazes you how much we look at and how much we think about that. Parks Frazier does a phenomenal job of giving us our tendencies, when we start the week, and that's a matter of fact, that's the meeting I'm about to go to after we talk right here, just talking through tendencies and how we cover tendencies and this and that. So a huge part of what we do, a huge thought of what we do, just as much as we think about plays and about players for our team and their team, we think about our tendencies and how we can break any tendency we have that would tip our hand.
And last question, Mike Chappell.
Nick, with Jonathan, I think maybe the perception was, or the expectation is, once Marlon went down, you were really going to lean on Jonathan. He was going to be your 18 to 20, 25 carries. That's not been the case. Is that because you have confidence in the other guys, or are you trying not to lean too much on the rookie too soon?
I think that's, it's just our same philosophy we have with other players. Like, we want to spread it around. We want to keep guys fresh. We want to do what the player does best. So I think it's a combination of everything, Chappie, that we just want to, keep all those three things I just said. And so have a ton of confidence in Jonathan. And he could carry the ball 25 times a game, but we just have a lot of confidence in the other guys as well. And they do things really well also. And we want to let them shine as well, and keep everybody fresh.
And keeping him fresh in the fourth quarter, he has 7 carries, and he's sort of the reason that drive worked.
Yeah, that no doubt. Like, those defensive guys aren't getting a break, right? And they're still having to tackle Jordan and Naheem, and then Jonathan comes back in fourth quarter with that big 4-minute drive, and it gets harder and harder to tackle him. So 100% great question.